Day one in free agency seemed like it was going to be something Charger fans were hoping for. But as of thus far, this is what the Chargers had to offer here on day one on Charger City. What's up, Chargers fans? How are we feeling today on day one of the free agent market here? As usual, Jake Silva here on Chargers Syndicate, giving you everything LA Chargers news and so much more. If it is your first time here on the channel, I encourage you guys to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on future and past videos. Also, this video is brought to you by greengridiron.com. And for those of you that want your very own customized life-size or collectible size helmets, check it out here at greengridiron.com. Your team, your style, your way at greengridiron.com. And before checkout, use promo code LACSYN, that is LACSYN, for your exclusive discount at checkout at greengridiron.com. So we got to talk about it, Charger fans, because this is day one of the free agent market. It is now officially begun and opened up. And Charger fans really had some high hopes into going into this offseason, knowing that the team had over $90 million in cap space, and the first focus was going to be wide receiver. Well, a lot of things ended up changing up from there, but we're going to break down some of the moves thus far on day one of the free agent market. And we know it ain't done yet, but we wanted to get through at least the first hefty part throughout the day. So the very first move that ended up happening, and thank goodness that the Chargers were able to figure this out. So the Chargers now have re-signed edge rusher Khalil Mack to a one-year, $18 million contract. Khalil Mack, you knew he was the heart and soul of this defense as an edge rusher. And so losing him would have just devastated every single one of Charger fans out there. But it would have hurt a little bit of the edge rushing room, knowing that you've got Justin Mboibi, you've got Bud Dupree, and you've also got Thule. It's not exactly as strong as you would think for the edge rushing position. So Khalil Mack is coming back, and at least for one more year to really kind of send him off the best way into retirement. So last year he had 20 solo tackles for 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and no interceptions at that point. But he had 19 assisted tackles, had 9 passes defended, and was somebody that was still a sheer force and, of course, made the Pro Bowl this past season. So at least having Khalil Mack, there's our veteran voice for the edge rushing position that we retained back, and I'm glad that Khalil Mack now is going to be back onto this defense and hoping that this Chargers defense will build upon what they had from last year, being the number one scoring defense, and also, most important, was one of the top best rush defenses, of course, in the NFL last season. The next signing that the Chargers did is they've re-signed punter J.K. Scott to a 2-year, $6 million contract. So J.K. Scott, of course, was very impressive last year and, of course, is Ryan Ficken's favorite. So J.K. Scott coming back with the Chargers was really happy of it because we needed the punter. You were not going to end up finding another punter, at least of this stature, than J.K. Scott. 29 years old, 72 punts last year, averaging at least 46.7 of those punts, and his longest was 67 yards. And only inside the 20 was 28, which was 10. So Ryan Ficken gets at least his favorite punter back in J.K. Scott. And so for the special teams, I see it doing just fine. And as long as our special teams can stay strong, that's the one thing that the Chargers really, really are more concerned about through the up and coming season. But at least J.K. Scott, we get him back. Seems like a reasonable deal. I like it. The next one was very interesting. Now, of course, this is also one that I'm not mad at all. So the Chargers ended up signing in free agency on the outside cornerback Donte Jackson from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 29-year-old is now coming to the Chargers. And what it sounds like to me is that the Chargers are in a position where they may not end up re-signing Christian Fulton, but word is still on the table for Asante Samuel Jr. Donte Jackson last year had 28 solo tackles, 0 forced fumbles, 5 interceptions, and 8 passes defended. And he was also ranked 66.9 as far as quarterback rating and which was 6th amongst corners last season. So Donte Jackson, the only thing that I'm a little concerned about is his tackling capabilities. So tackling is not the greatest, but maybe Jesse Minter can turn that around. And if you can make him serviceable just like you did with Christian Fulton, then maybe that will be a better upside for the Chargers moving forward. So at least with that, Donte Jackson, I like the move. 2 years, $11 million on this specific signing, but the Chargers may not end up being done yet. And then finally, so far, the news that we haven't gotten at least the actual amount of the contract, but the Chargers have re-signed center Bradley Bozeman to a multi-year contract. So Bradley Bozeman, in my opinion, I mean, to me, I'm not mad at the extension. I think it was I think it was one that they were happy to at least keep him because they needed a center. And it sounds to me like if they found the center on the outside, which I was hoping we would have gotten Ryan Kelly or we would have gotten Drew Dahlman, somebody there to fill in the center position. Because Bradley Bozeman, if you looked at it for PFF grade, he was listed last amongst centers in all of the league with just his PFF grading. So I don't know with as far as this goes with Bradley Bozeman, but it just seems to me they found their centerpiece, and they may potentially draft a center in the draft, and that might be the focus and plan for Joe Hortiz. Not entirely sure why, but in the end, Bradley Bozeman, he's staying put, he's staying amongst on this offensive line, and still they're hoping that they could at least relieve the interior offensive line, which is still one of the needs that the Chargers need to figure that out. This was day one. And to me personally, I'm sitting back and just kind of patiently waiting to see what Joe Hortiz does next because no wide receiver was signed, at least in this particular free agency. Not to mention, there still need to be a need at running back. Now with Poona Ford and with Josh Palmer and with also a couple others that have left the Chargers, it's really interesting to see what Joe Hortiz has in store next. But Charger fans, be patient. Take a breath because in the end, we know what Joe Hortiz is all about. Maybe there's something cooking that we don't know, but I've read everything. I've read all of social media. I've read exactly all the posts, and a lot of people want to basically take out Joe Hortiz's head. Take a second, take a breather, and see exactly what Joe Hortiz does next in day two. But my hope is you figure out wide receiver, you figure out interior offensive line, you figure out defensive line now because with Poona Ford gone now, my hopes is we maybe target somebody like Jonathan Allen or maybe a couple of others that are still available. But we did get a corner. We did end up, re-signing our edge rusher and our safety or our center and also our punter. But hopefully Joe Hortiz has something else in the cards that no Charger fan even knows about yet. So take a deep breath and give it a second. Let this thing cook up as much as it possibly can. That's going to do it here for me on Charger Syndicate. Jake Silva here, signing this off. Appreciate everybody for checking out this video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Keep you up to date on future past videos. And let's hope day two is a lot better than what day one basically gave us today. Have a great rest of your day. And always remember to bolt up, Charger fans.